Yeah, franchising is a relatively new business term. Some people call them distributors, some call them licensees. But by and large, it's the concept where people with the know-how, but who might not have the capital, find people with the capital who don't have the know-how, and say, if you put up the money and build this restaurant, we'll teach you how to run it. So it's a marriage of skill and capital. And we find that in distributorships too. So basically the franchisees put up the money for their outlet, and the franchisors teach them how to do it and supply the marketing. And one thing I should say, if it doesn't belabor this, franchising is so broad a term that it covers a continuum. On the one extreme is, let's say, Florsheim shoes, where you'll see Florsheim shoe stores. And a store in a specific town will have a franchise. That means they could put up the sign and sell Florsheim shoes. Okay. That's all it means. They could sell Buster Browns and other shoes in competition. Florsheim doesn't do anything to them but sell them shoes and give them a sign. On the other extreme, I'd say, is McDonald's, where the franchisee does very little. Well, let me change it. Does a lot. The franchisor requires that the franchisee not sell competitive products. So whereas a shoe store may, Florsheim, a McDonald's franchisee may not sell Burger King restaurants, hamburgers. In fact, we must sell only the products that McDonald's specifies. We must buy them from recommended specified suppliers. And McDonald's, they must wear uniforms. They must advertise a certain way. They must use the logo, the trademarks a certain way. We tell them how much change to put in the cash register every morning, how to lock up at night for security, how to pay deposits. So in other words, McDonald's does A to Z for the franchisee, whereas Florsheim just gives them a sign. Yeah. But also, they don't pay a royalty to Florsheim, they pay a royalty to McDonald's, a percentage of sales. And unlike most franchisors, McDonald's owns the real estate, so they also pay us rent. We put up the building and improve it, so they have a lease and a franchise.
Wow, that's why all the McDonald's kind of seem like they're so solidified. It seems like they're all. It would be hard for a person to tell that they're all sort of independently run by the
Well,
franchisee.
that's the point, and that's the balance, and that's the trick. We want our franchisees to be entrepreneurial, and we can look at two different restaurants and tell which one is run better than the other one. And we could see differences, subtle differences in the way the training and decor is. But the goal of the restaurant of all franchise systems is consistency. So if you walk into a McDonald's restaurant in Tokyo or Bangkok, the Big Mac is going to taste like the one here in Phoenix.
It's amazing.
And there are no differences in the food or the menu worth mentioning. There's slight changes around the world, like the Philippines will serve a side of spaghetti because it's a very normal thing there. Yeah. And you might get a little rice in Japan or China. But by and large, the menu is the same. You get beer in Belgium or Germany, not here in the States. But it's the same food. And the only difference I mentioned, in India, you may not eat beef because cows are sacred in India. Ah. So there we use mutton, lamb.
Okay.
And people jokingly call it the Big Mac. But basically, it looks the same, it feels the same. Cleanliness is a big deal wherever you go, value. And we inspect the restaurants regularly. We have field men out there to make sure that their quality service and cleanliness is up to par. checking the bathrooms, the filters on the roof, everything. It's very tight. There's not a lot of room for variation to the public eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure seems like it. You always have the same experience. You know, I could eat at McDonald's 100 times and it would be the same thing with no problems.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's funny, the operations people can pick up little differences.
Uh-huh.
Not so much in the taste of the food, because that's pretty standard unless a franchisee is doing a terrible job of keeping it fresh. But we're on that constantly. But they'll see little differences in, the furniture might not be as neatly placed. You know, the chairs gets kind of strewn around in certain restaurants.
Yeah.
Or the help might be a little messier looking, you know, some places and others. Their uniforms might not be as spick and span and things like that. But friendliness is important, you know. We've done tests, we've shown that just saying good morning and smiling
Really?
helps so much, give customers a feeling of being welcome.
Yeah.
And we enforce those things.